President, and I thank the 4,441 people who signed this petition, which should never have had to happen. As I start my contribution, I would like to thank particularly Natalie Gray and Mary Hughes, Dr Stephen and Penny Lappin, Ken Haley and his wife, Tristan White, Louise Hill, Eddie Lynch, and I thank Eddie for coming down today, the Silverleaves Conservation Society, the Bass Coast Shire councillors, united on their concern on this, and particularly Mayor Rochelle Halstead, and the 300 other people that stood on January 6 in the pouring rain to show their concern for what is happening at Silverleaves, the erosion and the coastal erosion issue. They stood beside Banksias that had fallen over, and they stood with waves, concerned that on those windy nights, those high tide times, that would actually come crashing into their backyards and into their homes. This is the reality. This is the reality of Silverleaves, the most beautiful community that have been drawn together out of adversity, and they should never have had to be in this position that we're debating this bill today, this motion today. What has happened, and I just want to read the actual motion because it's in two parts. The petition says that we call on the government to urgently fund and implement DECA's proposed geotextile revetment to protect homes, public infrastructure, public land in the short term, and this is where we come into effect, work collaboratively with the Silverleaves community to plan and fund long-term solutions to mitigate and manage coastal erosion. Well, this government has known about this coastal erosion issue at Silverleaves since 2022. The erosion has been accelerating since 2022, and certainly it's been heavily impacting over the last 2 years. It's been at an alarming rate of 16 metres in the past 2 years. Now, what that says is that government must act, but it has actually had its head in the sand, and unfortunately now that sand has washed away due to erosion. The government knew about it in 2023. It knew about it when it triggered, the department actually triggered a process, a study called the DECA's own study, the Silverleaves Coastal Process Study, which the government was handed in the middle of this year. The member for Bass has known about this since that time. She hasn't been beating her chest. She hasn't been beating a door to the Minister for Environment. It has taken this community activism for this to occur. Last November last year, I raised the issue. The government has had a DECA plan for geotextile sandbags, revetment it's called, for emergency works to sandbag that community while a long-term plan can be introduced and worked through with the community. But the government has ignored it. And the concern that is facing these wonderful people of Silverleaves is that it was meant to be implemented over summer, because now we've got Easter around the corner, and indeed those Easter king tides, the weather, we've got winter coming on, and these people can really face the loss of their homes and infrastructure because of this. This is too late, but thank goodness it's actually occurring today, and I know that many of them have been down on the beach today watching sand being moved. Now, in fact, it's going to cost the government more money for this short-term emergency works because they're shifting sand today, and then later on, to be finished by August, they're going to have these sandbags completed for the short term. This is an action that should have been undertaken prior to this. President, I say to the community, thank you very much for working with me and my colleagues, Dr Heath and others who are down there supporting them, and the council. You're activists. You shouldn't have to be activists to save your own homes when government has been clear in the understanding of the urgency of this. The government came out on the 7th of March and they've said $10 million for Silverleaves, for Inverloch Surf Club and the Inverloch Foreshore, for Loch Sport, for Tooradin, for Warrnambool and for Black Rock. Not 10 million each, but 10 million between them. That is insufficient, and to come out in 7th of March and say, look, we're saving that, it's actually unfair and unkind to these very good people. I will be speaking at the end of this. I thank people for listening and I thank people for contributing. We need action on this coastal erosion, and this is the most dearest priority going round.